Good morning. It is a true pleasure to be with you this morning. I have had the honor and privilege of working with Habitat for Humanity for just over 20 years, and we were just reflecting before services that Greg was the board chair of the affiliate when they decided to hire me, and it has been an amazing journey ever since. I have not regretted a day of that journey, and I trust that the fact that Greg has remained connected with us and the partnership we've had with Salem speaks that you also are pleased. I'd like to begin with a psalm, a verse from a psalm, 127. I think that the Old Testament forecasted our services today. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. So what is Habitat for Humanity? We are a worldwide ecumenical Christian housing ministry. It started right there in verse 127. Worldwide is true. We are present in 72 countries. We have a vision of eliminating poverty housing. Soak that in. Eliminate poverty housing. We do it one family at a time, one project at a time. Locally, we have been serving families since 1990. First house was completed in 1991. I'm pleased to say we are near the completion of house number 111 here in our local area. And what's exciting too is that we've also built 112 homes in our partner countries where we tithe to, and that being Guatemala and Haiti. So 225 families or homes, but many more families. We were also reflecting earlier that some of our homes have had the opportunity to serve more than one family. That's probably closer to 140 families that we've served in the homes that we've built. Much of what we do, in fact, I say all that we do, is based on Christian principles. There are biblical verses that translate to the work that we do today. I'll give you an example. In Exodus 20, it talks about usury, and our interpretation of that and our implementation of that verse is that our mortgages that we deliver to our families at the end of the project, and that's important, if there is a mortgage, is at 0%. We shall not charge interest to those we serve. That's our interpretation of usury and our implementation of that. And I mentioned that we have a goal to eliminate poverty housing, and we believe the resources to do that exist today. There's a really cool quote from a longtime Habitat volunteer that I just love. Rather than complaining about the meagerness of resources, Jesus took what was at hand, thanked God for it, put it to work, and wonder of wonders, there was more than enough. I believe that's true. There's always more than enough. It's just our responsibility to ask for it and to use it with stewardship. Nearly 1 year ago, today almost, Ash Wednesday last year, you experienced a traumatic event here in the church. What was that? A fire. Ashes to ashes. And while it's hard to see God's hand at work in an event like that, there's an interesting journey I'd like to connect the dots with here. So we reach out to families who are in need of simple, decent, safe, affordable housing. They have to come to us, and it's a very difficult thing to do with our Midwestern, I can make it on my own attitude, and it's not easy to ask for help. In fact, I'd say it's probably the hardest thing that we have to overcome is that resistance to ask for help. Well, indeed, this past fall, we had 60 families raise their hands and say, I could use some help. 60 families for the 7 projects that we were planning to build in 2018. 60 families who simply wanted the opportunity to have a chance at one of our building projects. It's a blind process. We go through, we read applications, we look at their credit reports, we look at their incomes to see if they can support owning a home. And then at the end of the day, we actually go out and visit with the family where they're at. We interview them, and we come back as a team, and we discuss what we've learned. And a very, very, very difficult decision has to be made. Which family of those 60 will be given the chance to be one of the 7 projects to be built? Well, what's really, really fascinating is a young gentleman with his 2 children applied. And to bring the whole story full circle, he was the man who was your manager of Salem West program watching the building burn on Ash Wednesday last year. We are so thrilled that in the journey of figuring out what to do next and to make something good out of this, you collectively decided that that lot, that vacant lot, ought to be here to serve a Habitat family, a Habitat home, not knowing anything of who that family might be. It's Dennis. Wow, that's what I call a God thing. God's hand is in this project and will be forever. We are encouraging you to join us in this journey. There's a poster that we have in the social hall that we hang in our hallway, and it's my favorite poster I've ever seen, and it's your call to action. Once again, God's people can use a good carpenter. Think about that. It's pretty cool. Once again, God's people can use a good carpenter. Didn't say a perfect carpenter, by the way. A good carpenter. I do have a secondary challenge besides joining us in this project, and that is to pray for and celebrate with us that we actually are building 2 homes in your area this coming year, or this year. I do have one challenge that I need help with, and that is to identify a second building site. If you know any resources out there that could help me with that, Lisa Dubray and her 5 children would love the opportunity to know we have a building site with and for her. At this time, I'd like to have Karen and Ruth Ann have the opportunity to share with you.
Good morning. My name is Karen Scarlett, and I am the volunteer coordinator for Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity offers many volunteer opportunities for you to put your faith into action. I just started Habitat in June, so I totally didn't understand what Habitat all does until I got on board. And I was just thinking, they just build houses, that's it. We do so much more. There's so many volunteer opportunities available. You know, we do build homes, and if they can teach me how to side, they can teach anybody else how to side. You don't need any training. You don't need to be trained or skilled. We do all that on site, and you don't even need tools. It's a great way to have great camaraderie between fellow people out there building. We also have a restore, and a restore is all donated items that we get in and then we sell. And so we have what we call a salvage crew, which goes out and deconstructs a home. We're such a throwaway world, and there's such good materials out there. So we go into the home and we take down anything that's salvageable, lights, furniture, cabinets, you name it, we take it all apart. And then we bring it into the restore and sell. So we always need more salvage crews. It gets to the point where we have to tell people no because we don't have the volunteers to do all the salvages. You know, we could be going 7 days a week, but we don't have the volunteers, so consider that. It's a lot of fun. Another volunteer opportunity is they have the office. We have office work. We also have pickups. We go and people might want to be donating something. They're unable to get it to us in the restore, so we have a pickup crew that goes out. So there's many opportunities to volunteer. And I always say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a lot of helping hands to make your community a better community. So I welcome anybody to come and do some volunteering and give them back to your community. It's a great cause. We need more people to have this mission, move forward on a mission and end poverty. Thanks.
Good morning. I don't have a whole lot to add after what they've added, but a few things that I want to make you aware of. We handed out those documents, and that shows the stories of our 2 families. And the back sheet of that has our pledge card. So what I'm up here for is to have you prayerfully consider how you can contribute and support these families as we go forward. As we said, there's a lot of opportunities. A couple of things I just want to highlight. We have coming up June 13th is our huge annual dinner. We would love to have you join us. It will be at Madden's. There's opportunities. You can have a table. You can sponsor it. All of this is going to go towards supporting Dennis and all the other families that we have coming up. Some other things that also might be helpful for you to think about as a church, different things you could do to raise funds. You could do bake sales, garage sales, dinners, breakfasts, where you do free will offerings that will go towards Dennis and the other families in support of their home builds. Just a few ideas. You know, if you look at it, we're looking at $80,000 is what we need. The average house is about $100,000. So we have a gap yet of $80,000 for Dennis's home. You know, we could have one of you write out a check for $80,000, if that's possible, or we could have 80 of you write out a check for $1,000, or we could have 800 of you write out a check for $1,000. So whatever works, but we are, or 800 at $100. Sorry about that, my math was off. Didn't have my glasses on. But there's lots of opportunities, and you know, it's interesting. I've only been at Habitat for 2 months, and when I had heard about Habitat before, I went, yeah, but you know, that's probably people, they're not working real hard, they're not trying real hard, they're, you know, they've made poor choices, da-da-da-da-da. And that was always my thought process. When we went out to visit a home, I went to a home, and I was devastated to see the home some people live in. I said, that can't happen, that can't happen. I was always not real happy with my home. My home's really small, but it looks like a mansion. And you need to understand, these people are working so hard. They're working, doing everything they can. There's a little gap that they can't quite make it. And that's where we need you to come forth and help us. So take a look at that sheet. There's lots of opportunities for you to contribute, to be a part of this build. But as we talked about the seed planted, your dollar, your time is going to plant a seed to make a difference in Dennis's life and all the families going forward. So prayerfully consider how you can help us. Thanks.
Pastor told me I needed to use at least an hour of time. I will just leave you with these words. It's the framework of our mission. Families in need partner with Habitat for Humanity to build strength, security, and self-reliance through shelter. I encourage you to respond to this call to action and be the hands and feet of Christ in the world. We'll be in the social hall in between services, and we welcome the opportunity to meet you and discuss a little more what we are planning to do. Thank you very much.